Within 2 to 3 days, any accounts that had my name on it in Chase Bank were cleaned out of all the money.
I was so surprised.
New York high school senior and his small savings account is at the center of a big-time crime involving phony payroll checks for large companies being cashed on the West Coast without question because somehow he got skimmed, meaning not only someone copied his debit card, but had his PIN number.
He said, "Dad, something's wrong."
I feel terrible because they took all my parents' money.
Jason was finishing his last year of high school when the balance in his savings account suddenly began to matter more than it ever had before. He was 18, delivering pizzas after classes and on weekends, saving every dollar he could. The account was modest, built from tip money stuffed into envelopes and deposited every few weeks. His parents kept a close eye on it. It was supposed to help cover community college tuition and car insurance. Nothing about it seemed complicated, just a basic checking and savings account with Chase Bank. The family's finances were woven together across linked accounts. Jason shared one with his father. His mother had her own, a joint account connected to a daughter already away at college, another tied to Jason's grandmother down in Florida. It was the kind of setup many families rely on: convenient, connected, practical. One banking profile holding everything together. The balance rarely moved sharply. Deposits were small and predictable. Withdrawals covered routine expenses. Until one night, without warning, the numbers shifted in a way that made no sense at all. Jason noticed it first. His balance had ballooned after what appeared to be a $1,000 cash deposit at a branch in Los Angeles. He hadn't made it. He hadn't authorized it. His father called Chase immediately and demanded the account be frozen.
They said, "Well, we'll put it into investigation and we'll freeze the account right now." I said, "Fine, do that because I'd like to know what's going on."
The bank representative confirmed the account would be placed under review. The family exhaled slightly. They assumed the worst was behind them. It wasn't even close to over. What they didn't yet know was that the deposit wasn't a banking error or a clerical glitch. It was a deliberate first move in a carefully engineered fraud. Investigators would later determine that someone had cloned Jason's debit card and stolen his PIN, most likely skimmed at a compromised point-of-sale terminal or ATM. That part was never fully explained to the family. The $1,000 cash deposit was real currency. It cleared immediately, the way cash always does, lifting the account balance just high enough to make the next phase work. Within hours, counterfeit payroll checks, each written for exactly $995, started hitting the account at branch after branch across the area. The figure wasn't accidental. With the balance artificially pushed above $1,000, every $995 check looked fully covered on paper. Tellers processed them without question, one location after the next, handing over cash each time.
I think Chase should have stopped not cashed them at all.
From behind the teller window, everything looked legitimate. The account showed available funds. The amount on each check stayed just below the visible threshold. No single transaction was large enough to raise an immediate flag. By the time the counterfeit instruments were identified as fraudulent, more than $10,000 had already walked out the door. The family had trusted the freeze to hold the line. Instead, the damage multiplied behind it. When the checks were ultimately rejected, Jason's account didn't just return to zero. It collapsed into deeply negative territory. The bank treated each worthless check as an unpaid item and debited the account accordingly. A negative balance exceeding $10,000 now sat on the books. And when the family filed a fraud claim expecting the ledger to be corrected, the bank denied it. The explanation delivered to them was cold and technical, because the checks had been cashed against available funds, and because the debit card and PIN had been used to initiate access, the transactions were categorized as authorized under the account's terms. The responsibility, the bank told them, belonged to the account holder. Then came the sweeping. Accounts linked under the same banking profile were rated to cover the negative balance. The joint account shared with the college-aged daughter, the funds connected to the grandmother in Florida. None of it was framed as a new transaction. These were internal offsets. The bank settling what it considered a legitimate debt owed by its own customer. Tuition payments were due. Household bills didn't pause. The savings that had been built slowly, carefully, over years, tip money, small deposits, weekend shifts, were gone in a matter of days because of a crime the family had nothing to do with. The mechanics of the scam were straightforward once you laid them out. Step 1, clone the card, steal the PIN, gain invisible access to the account. Step 2, make a legitimate cash deposit to immediately inflate the available balance. Step 3, flood multiple branch locations with counterfeit payroll checks, each just under $1,000, calibrated to stay beneath any scrutiny threshold. Step 4, move fast. Hit enough locations quickly enough that internal fraud systems don't catch up before the cash is already gone. No weapons, no threats, no confrontation. Just numbers on a screen and a system that moved the money before anyone stopped to ask why. The real blow didn't land when the suspicious deposit appeared. It landed when the family realized the bank was holding them responsible for it. Jason's father described the stillness in the house after the denial. The negative balance sat unchanged. Linked accounts showed zeros. He had asked for a freeze. He had filed a claim. Neither had protected anything. They went to the press. A local television consumer investigation unit reviewed the account statements, the transaction history, the correspondence. Reporters contacted Chase and asked the bank to reconsider its fraud determination. Within a week, the bank reversed its position entirely. Nearly $10,000 was credited back. Negative balances cleared. Funds swept from linked accounts were returned. The bank stated it had taken another look at the case and credited the amount previously debited as a result of the scam, adding that it had also updated its check cashing procedures in response to the incident. The specifics of those changes were never made public. Jason went back to delivering pizzas. His balance stabilized. The tuition money was restored. The household found its footing again. But something had permanently changed in how the family looked at their finances. Statements are checked carefully now. Deposits are questioned. The linked accounts that once felt like convenience now feel like exposure. The money came back. The memory of watching it disappear did not. For a few days, a high school senior's modest savings account, built on weekend shifts and folded tip envelopes, became the instrument of a 5-figure fraud. The steps were quiet and incremental until suddenly they weren't, and the system that was supposed to protect the family only corrected itself after outside pressure forced its hand. Jason's story didn't end with the money coming back. It ended with something that can't be deposited or restored. Trust. The kind of quiet confidence a family once had when they looked at their bank account and believed the number on the screen was safe. That confidence is gone now, replaced by something more cautious, more vigilant, and honestly, more realistic. Here is what this case actually exposed. The scam itself was not sophisticated. It was methodical. Clone a card, steal a PIN, make a cash deposit, flood the branches with fake checks, and move fast enough that no alarm fires in time. The criminals didn't break into a vault. They walked through the front door, one teller window at a time, and the system handed them the money. What made it worse was not the fraud. Fraud happens. What made it worse was that when a family reported it immediately, asked for a freeze, filed a claim, and did everything right, the bank still said no. They were told the loss was their responsibility, and it took a television camera pointed at the story to make the bank change its answer. That is the part worth sitting with. The protection existed, the reversal happened. But it only happened because of outside pressure. Without that, a teenager delivering pizzas on weekends would have started college carrying a $10,000 debt he never created. Check your linked accounts today. Review who has access. Monitor deposits you didn't make, not just withdrawals. And if something looks wrong, report it immediately. Document everything, and don't stop pushing until someone gives you a real answer. The ledger corrected itself in Jason's case. Not everyone gets that outcome. Stay sharp out there.